Lay's urban clinic short on anti-malarials and antibiotics. Soldiers want to stay out of election escorting. And environmental agencies call for stronger preservation push.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thank you for joining me for Monday's news. Lay police have foiled what could have turned out to be a major robbery at Nadzab Airport. Police units were put on standby at the airport hours after midnight after receiving information of a possible attack by criminals. Unfortunately for the criminals, police were already there waiting for the crime to happen at 2 a.m. this morning. The ringleader of the gang was shot dead.
It's not always that police get to wait for a crime to happen, but that was the case early this morning. Acting on good intelligence, several units were dispatched to the Nadzab airport. They waited until 2 a.m. this morning. Then a gang of 15 men arrived. They held up the security guards and tried to rob the place. They weren't so lucky. The ringleader was shot dead. It's not clear what kind of weapons they carried. And this was the scene at Nadzab Airport this morning. Heavy police presence, no flights disrupted despite concerns of an armed robbery. Lay's Metropolitan Superintendent Anthony Wagambi, who was on the scene this morning, said police couldn't pursue the criminals who fled in the dim morning light into the bushes. They believe some of the men could have come from nearby villages and settlements. In previous cases, criminals have been able to escape after robbing the Nadzab Airport. This morning, the tide turned against them. Police say more suspects are expected to be arrested soon. Scott Wide, National EMTV News, Lay.
Urban clinics in Lay City are experiencing a general shortage of anti-malarial drugs and antibiotics. While staff at government clinics have been hesitant to speak on record, they said they are referring patients to the pharmacies to buy their medicines. Church agency clinics are also facing similar shortages.
This is a typical day at the Malahang Urban Clinic, where a large population from Lay's outer suburbs come to get medical treatment. This is part of the government's health system that's being put under pressure by an increasing population and dwindling drug supplies. Staff here were not prepared to speak on camera, but say there is a serious shortage of medicines, including antibiotics like chloramphenicol, needed for extended treatment of infections like typhoid. What's also become obvious is the shortage of anti-malarial drugs. Patients are being told to buy their own at private pharmacies. Many come from rural locations and it's difficult for them.
So you talk Milo, go back na paina marsem, is a miete mi piani hat. So mi bagolo femeri na ba mi kisimoli come back no kisimina bieni milo. LP milo marasin lo bin.
At the Lutheran church-run Ampo Clinic, the only person willing to speak today was nurse Custodia Kigasung, a veteran of 30 years.
All public to all sick now come, that's what we do. We write a prescription and they go and buy their own medicine from the chemist. And now chemist too, now chemist are expensive threat.
The Ampo Clinic gets some of its medicines and consumables from the area medical store that supplies medicines and other essentials to hospitals and clinics in the Momase and the Highlands regions. Sister Kigasung says the shortage of supplies has hit them hard. They are charging patients despite the direction to implement the government's free healthcare policy.
Now that we are so long marasin, madam something we are collecting long patients, we are go buy marasin long again.
At the government-run Buimo Clinic, staff referred us to the Lay District Administration for comment. They too are facing shortages in anti-malarials and antibiotics. Every patient that requires medicine is being referred to a private pharmacy. It's costing them on average about the equivalent of private healthcare. Scott Wide, National EMTV News, Lay.
Papua New Guinea Defence Force soldiers have been warned not to provide escort services to candidates during this campaign period. PNGDF Commander Brigadier General Gilbert Toropo said he had received reports of certain soldiers escorting candidates, but information is still sketchy. Toropo condemned such behaviour and urged all PNGDF personnel to behave during the election.
Toropo said according to the PNG Defence Force rules and regulations, they have no responsibility to escort any candidates during the campaign period. If soldiers are involved in escorting candidates this period and if it is found to be illegal, they can expect anything from minor disciplinary charges to being dishonorably discharged from the force. EMTV News has received reports that a candidate from the North Wagi seat in Jiwaka province has been escorted by some PNGDF soldiers for his campaign rallies. When EMTV News asked Toropo to confirm this incident, this was what he said.
That will have to be verified. No, I have received reports about certain members of the security force elements escorting candidates, but according to our regulations, we have no responsibility to escort any candidates at all. But where the context of military personnel or any security force elements escorting candidates, it has to be properly investigated and verified because reports are sketchy and different candidates have different views on why they report. But we have security force elements based out of Jiwaka, and they have a duty to move around freely to conduct their own business as well.
Toropo said the PNG Defence Force's job during the 2017 national election is to escort ballot boxes to and from the polling and counting areas. They will provide transportation, which will also include aircraft and ships for air and sea patrolling. 500 soldiers were committed to support the Electoral Commission during the polling, counting and declaration period only. If soldiers are reported to be escorting candidates, a thorough investigation will be conducted and PNGDF will deal with the offender depending on the extent of the soldiers' conduct. Vasanata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
Overseas and overnight, 12 people were arrested following a raid on an apartment belonging to an attacker of the latest terror attack. The ringleader has been identified. He is a homegrown terrorist. He had worked on London's underground rail system and at KFC. Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the attack, which killed 7 people and injured 48.
The focus of the forensic investigation, police going backwards and forwards over London Bridge here over the last couple of hours looking for details. They're doing exactly the same down towards Borough Market where those knife attacks took place. The 3 terrorists have seemingly been identified by authorities. At least one address that was raided today at Barking connected with one of those terrorists. 12 people arrested, 7 of them are women, including a 60-year-old woman and a 19-year-old woman. It is a huge crime scene that's still active here in central London after 8 minutes of carnage here in the British capital. A few minutes after running down dozens of people on London Bridge, the moment the terrorists calmly stroll through Borough Market looking for new victims. The person filming manages to get a brief glimpse of the armed men before ducking out of sight. In the next few minutes, they'll stalk through the busy night spot, randomly stabbing innocent people in a deadly 8-minute rampage.
Many people coming to blooding from everywhere, running.
It started on London Bridge when they drove a white van through crowds before crashing outside a pub in Borough. Heavily armed police arrived within minutes, telling diners to get down. One owner ensured his customers were safe before he was confronted. 3
of these men were standing there with machetes and they had some sort of belt on, and it just, I looked at them and genuinely just, it was very scary.
Australian man Andrew Morrison was stabbed in the neck.
He got me, but I dodged it, ducked and weaved.
Was he wearing a mask?
No, no mask.
Also stabbed in the neck, Brisbane woman Candice Hedge, who moved to London last year. She was out at a restaurant with her boyfriend. The 31-year-old posted on Facebook saying she is recovering in hospital from a stab wound which narrowly missed her windpipe. The suspects in their 20s wore fake suicide vests, adding to the panic before they were killed in a hail of police bullets. A block of units at Barking in East London is now the focus for investigators. They've been raided by armed officers and 12 people arrested. It included one person taken into custody on a busy high street in nearby Eastham. It's likely to be a long and complex investigation into a shocking event that's left Britain reeling, the third deadly terror attack in 3 months. That van that was crashed outside a pub near Borough Market spent most of the day there. It was later retrieved a short time ago by police and placed on the back of a truck. We've also seen them having a very good look at some of the buses that were stranded on London Bridge. One that was still pulled up at the bus stop it stopped at when this murderous rampage began. A big job for police to go through the history of these 3 terrorists, work out exactly if they were just acting as a trio or whether they were indeed part of a broader terrorist plot.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The joint effort by the national government and other development partners is placing Papua New Guinea on the path to proper preservation of natural environment. This was the message highlighted by representatives from environment conservation agencies in the country to mark World Environment Day today.
Unlike other World Environment Day celebrations, this year's was celebrated at the Varirata National Park in Central Province. It brought together representatives from all environment conservation agencies in the country, including development partners like JICA. In his address speech, Conservation Environment Protection Authority Managing Director Ganta Joku gave an overview of the initiatives SIPA has undertaken to conserve the natural environment. These initiatives include the improvement of facilities at national parks and other tourism destinations in the country.
I've touched on Vairata and Kokora Trek, but there are also other sites in the country which we're also working on. The youth conservation area, that's one that we've been promoting. The Tenkili conservation area, famous for looking after the, protecting the tree kangaroo.
World Environment Day was first celebrated in 1972. Each year, environment conservation agencies in the world try to increase awareness on the importance of preserving natural environment. This year's theme was Appreciating Our Land and Seas, Connecting People with Nature.
It is important to maintain a healthy forest and reefs. Of course, these negative impacts have consequences on human lives.
UNDP country representative Roy Trivedi says Papua New Guinea, though has only 1% of the world's landmass, it is the 4th mega biodiverse country in the world.
Our current record shows that 5% of the country is protected, although Papua New Guinea government has actually ratified the UN Convention on Biological Diversity. And the current government is committed to protecting 17% of our terrestrial area, as well as 10% of marine areas by the year 2020. So this Varirata National Park is part of that whole effort to protect our land.
Thus, there must be a strong partnership between the government and other development partners in preserving our natural environment. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The Oceans Conference will be underway in New York from June 5th to the 9th this week. This is the first UN-organized conference specifically on oceans. This conference is organized to bring together governments, civil society and other stakeholders to find ways to implement the actions to restore the health of the oceans as envisioned in Goal 14 of the Sustainable Development Goals. Governments are expected to sign a call for action at the end of the conference. Papua New Guinea will be part of the conference and will be speaking on sustainable fisheries. Member for Rigo Anopala says the government is ready to take on any challenge that may come its way. This includes the predicted El Niño that is set to strike again in August. Like many other parts of the country, the people in Rigo district know the challenges associated with the prolonged dry weather pattern. Sitting Rigo MP Anopala was at Galomarubu in his electorate over the weekend, spreading the policies of the People's National Congress Party. After meeting and mingling with the locals, he was then asked about his plans on how he would deal with the upcoming predicted El Niño or dry spell caused by effects of climate change.
You know, when you have a government that is committed to delivering services, we are also committed to providing a system of government that will allow us to deliver. And as a government, we are prepared to take on the challenges that are in front of us.
The local people are currently enjoying an abundance of garden food, as was evident over the weekend. But the struggle was real between 2014 and 2016 when El Niño struck and the people were faced with food and water scarcity.
And we've done it before when it was here. I think we are prepared to take it on as well. We have the experience and we have the leadership, we have the commitment, and we have the public service system that is in place and working together, working well to deliver.
Deli Waigeno, National, EMTV News. All candidates contesting the Rigo open seat are welcome to conduct their campaigns in the villages of Kepara, Alukuni and Karawa. Kepara Village Councillor Mape Iga cleared the air over rumors of restrictions on other intending candidates campaigning in these villages. Incumbent Rigo MP Anopala is from this area in the Rigo Coast LG, and the three villages are his voter strongholds. Three local leaders from the Rigo Coast LLG, Ward Member for Karawa, Mukura Pene, Kiapara Councillor Mape Iga, and Alukuni Ward Member Nopiri Hobart traveled to Port Moresby today to clear the air about misunderstandings surrounding candidates campaigning in their villages.
To clarify some news which has been going around in the city that Kepara, Alukuni, Karawa villages have refused a candidate to enter or speak in Kepara. But we've been told that there are people going around and tarnishing the councillors' names and the name.
He said two different campaign groups had clashed recently at Keapara village, and this may have resulted in ill feelings. He said it was the responsibility of campaign committees to organize themselves and communicate with leaders on the ground. This is so that separate times can be scheduled accordingly for candidates to address the people. He reiterated that the three villages are safe, and so far 7 candidates for the open seat and 2 candidates for the provincial seat have campaigned in the area.
So the message to the public is this: we have not physically or verbally abused any candidate who has come to Kepara village. We are well known for accepting visitors and showing our hospitality. So when we heard about this, we are concerned as human beings.
Mr. Iga assured the public that there is no threat of hostility in Karawa, Alukuni and Keapara. He also invited candidates to come to the mentioned villages and campaign to promote free and fair elections. Deli Waigeno, National, EMTV News. PNG One Nation Party launched their party website on the weekend. Party leader and Mosby Northwest candidate Joseph Tonde says the party wanted to ensure the public could access and read party policies and see candidates. The party has a total of 41 candidates contesting the 2017 national general election.
While the campaign period is coming down to its final weeks, the PNG One Nation Party has officially launched their website.
But as a party leader, me like him also all media must sabe one is something people make him at the same time. All Papua New Guinea must sabe one is something PNG One Nation Party by making Papua New Guinea.
The website contains the list of their 41 candidates, their policies and vision. Party leader Joseph Tonde believes the website can help campaign, but in the new level of campaigning, electronic.
Papua New Guinea must have one candidate me put him to. Now one kind of policies where me put him to. Papua New Guinea must have a pastime. Bien only casting vote long.
Meanwhile, coinciding with the website launch, the party leader held his first campaign rally. Youth Representative Suzanne Waisa called on youths in the Northwest to see the need for a government who has a concern on the number of unemployed youth.
Because the government, I mean, looks at the young man, stop. Now this time, this PNG One Nation Party, I mean, recognizing this time, me to no. The younger man, Mr. Street, younger man, Mr. South Street, and me got work, and we can make him difference in the family, in the society, in the nation.
She urged the youths to vote wisely and understand what leaders are meant to stand for.
Our nation can be rich with many resources, natural resources. But if a nation is lacked by the human resource, the nation is bound to collapse. A life of a nation depends entirely on people.
Adelaide Xerox Curry National, MTV News.
Former NCD Police Metropolitan Superintendent Andy Bauer is contesting the NCD regional seat. Bauer is among 47 other candidates vying for the governor's seat against sitting MP Powes Pakop. Basic service delivery in water, health, education, human resource development and law and order are his policies. Eric Harupma with this report.
Former NCD police boss Andy Bauer's intention to contest the NCD regional seat is to serve the people with dignity and respect.
19 years long service for me give him inside long Port Moresby City. Me not go along that long Papua New Guinea. Me stop for so long NCD. But me have a master me spending 19 years Christmas for me inside long Port Moresby. Because me feeling myself Papua New Guinea, I mean stop long Port Moresby City. Suppose me go out, I don't know what the difference. What can the man me stop at Selangan? What can I stop long NCD? Now me have a master me 7 million 19 Black Christmas.
Bauer says he is confident he can deliver basic government services and address law and order problems and empowering local SMEs.
Me black Papua New Guinea, me black and working. Suppose you can sell in boy in a smoke, and you working business, yeah? You working profit, yeah? On the policy, me talk about them. That was speak about governor blame in Zalong City. But me empowering more local businessman very blame in Zalong City. But me rushing walk long or sign a man, walk long or foreigners that give him the better all Papua New Guineans.
He assured people during his campaigns at 8 Mile Settlement outside Port Moresby yesterday that his aim is to make Port Moresby a safer city. He also campaigned for good governance and says he does not condone police brutality against betel-nut sellers, develop the city's settlements and prevent evictions. With his 12 years experience in the police force, he is confident he can look after the people of NCD. Eric Harupma, National MTV News.
4 candidates held a campaign rally at 5 Mile in Port Moresby late yesterday. The candidates agree that collaboration in election rallies gives voters a broader view on their candidates. 3 of the candidates are contesting the Moresby Northeast electorate. 1 is regional.
Balam is an independent candidate who is a trade unionist. He is a candidate for Moresby Northeast.
People stop the country move, machine, infrastructure. And people, so same policies so me can work him. long national parliament. Let me represent to you.
John Robin Bria, also contesting for Mosby Northeast, is a former top cop. He challenged candidates to come out and deliver their message to the people and let the people judge them accordingly. Jethro Arore, the younger brother of Oro MP David Arore, who's also contesting for Northeast, said for so long the youths have been marginalized and basic government services did not reach the majority.
Anta kili mabus, and put mabus under the head, shoulder. And carry them some big name goal house. Time goal house, and katim singating where a community blame come, singating where a community blame come, katim, nagimol meat. I'm saying what something no talk. I'm saying boom. Me plow youths, me plow pillims lakan pen. Even on mama na papa or stop inside the house, silip kirap or pillims lakan pen.
Former General Secretary of the Energy Workers Union, Sante Lo Magis, contesting for NCD Regional, spoke about health and social services in the nation's capital.
Bisanak na milak lukim also. What must be housing, he must transform, come up on play international housing so that Ben Micah or Sir Julius, who's at Prime Minister, is silip logan, you too, you can silip logan.
The three Northeast candidates will be amongst 52 other candidates contesting in this year's general election. Shane Saroyan, National, EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.3145 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3070, $0.4103 Australian dollars, $0.2691 euro, and 33.62 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, coffee and cocoa closed lower, while gold and copper closed the day higher. Palm oil and copper closed lower, while crude oil closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 62.11 points higher, the ASX closed at 38.11 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 33.91 points lower. National EMTV News will be back after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. A priest conducting media seminars is hopeful that there will be some form of media awareness on media literacy for the younger generation. Father Ambrose Pereira has been hosting the media education seminar for students in Port Moresby to enhance their knowledge of the different types of media. He believes if there is no awareness, the younger generation will get lost and is at a greater chance of picking up fake news.
The media seminar has seen positive involvement from the participants in its fourth-month running. Father Ambrose is positive that media awareness will teach students how to become more critical of what is being presented to them in the media and, more importantly, on social media.
So we're trying to help them understand media, be creative in producing what they produce, and ensure that it has content, value, responsibility, and these issues have to come forward. And then also they need to be critical about what they are viewing, what they are reading.
In a span of 4 months, these Year 11 students and second-year college students have gained knowledge in Photoshop, writing articles, visual media, and film production. The seminars are held at Emmaus Conference Center every first Saturday of the month. There are now 2 sessions left.
I've been very pleased that the participants are ready and committed to working on what they perceive, what they read, what they hear, and what they see. It's a little difficult because they are picking up concepts that may be new, but I'm sure that over time it'll open up their minds and open up their hearts, and then they in turn will inspire others.
Students are from Don Bosco Technical School, Jubilee Catholic Secondary, Maranville Secondary, De La Salle Secondary, St. Joseph's International College, Sacred Heart Teachers College and Don Bosco Technological Institute.
Out of this seminar, I look at bami some experience law, side law, some videos number na kind of thing. Mipla be number meeting thing law, sim record sample. One number time bami you sim them.
Merlin Diakotam, National EMTV News.
And overseas, terrorism has dominated Australian Foreign Minister Julie Bishop's talks with the U.S. Secretary of State in Sydney. The calls for unity have been overshadowed by the debates over the role of Islam and whether the military should take charge of terrorist attacks.
Side by side to combat terrorism. Australia hosts talks with US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson and Defence Secretary James Mattis.
We stand together. We do not allow ourselves to be intimidated.
Australia's political leaders want greater dialogue with the Muslim community.
We need the voices of moderate Islam to drown out the voices of extremism and terrorism.
And warn against condemning the religion.
This is a corruption, a disease within Islam.
We're at war with extremism, and that's what we've got to beat.
But Pauline Hanson strengthened her attack on Muslims, tweeting "Stop Islamic immigration before it's too late."
A parasitical way to appeal for a vote. You're actually sucking on the body of Australian security.
There is this notion that Islamophobia is almost as big a problem as Islamist terrorism. Well, Islamophobia hasn't killed anyone.
Tony Abbott wants the military to play a greater role if there's a terrorist attack in Australia. He's calling for commando units to take charge over police, an idea that's gaining support from colleagues.
If there is a complex terrorist situation, I think it is fitting that the military then become the lead agency.
I would certainly want our best, our highest performing special operators to go in and resolve the situation.
That is a matter that is being reviewed.
Mr Abbott's urging the Prime Minister and state premiers to consider his concerns at the next COAG meeting on Friday.
Pop star Ariana Grande has returned to the stage in Manchester, honouring victims of a suicide bomb attack at her concert there 2 weeks ago. She brought together some of the biggest names in music for an emotional tribute concert promoting love and unity.
It's been a magical night here in Manchester, less than 2 weeks after her concert was targeted by a suicide bomber at Manchester Arena. Ariana Grande returned to the city, this time to the Old Trafford cricket ground, where she absolutely wowed more than 50,000 fans. Her some very high-profile friends, and she was clearly very emotional at times when she took to the stage thanking her fans. She teamed up with artists such as Black Eyed Peas, Miley Cyrus, Coldplay. Singing as well with some kids from the local school choir. There had been some questions and concerns about whether the concert would even go ahead after the terror attack in London overnight, but Ariana's manager came out strongly this morning and said that it was their responsibility to pay tribute to and honour the victims of the Manchester Arena bombing and London Bridge as well.
After what happened, she would really take a break, a big break, but fair play to her.
It's like closure. It's like honestly closure.
There was a lot more security here at the concert, but by and large, when those people streamed out of this venue, there were smiles on their faces, they were beaming, they were chanting their city's name. Ariana Grande has single-handedly managed to restore this city's pride and help them on the road to recovery. After such a devastating tragedy, she has really given hope back to this city.
One of the world's favourite royals will be in Sydney on Wednesday to launch the official countdown to the Invictus Games. Prince Harry will not be staying long in the harbour city, but he will be taking some time for a public meet and greet.
On Wednesday, Prince Harry will have made his public walk right here on the harbour to mark 500 days until the Invictus Games come to Sydney. It's a chance for the public to meet Harry in person, and organisers are encouraging people to get here early because there will be thousands of fans of the Prince all trying to get a glimpse of him. He'll be arriving from Singapore, where he's currently visiting. He's already enjoyed a martial arts performance, broke fast with the Muslim community for Ramadan, and he's hosting a charity polo match. Harry will be launching the Invictus Games, which will be hosted by Sydney next year. It's an international competition started by the Prince for sick and injured servicemen and women. The Aussie team has almost been selected for this year's Games in Toronto, but they'll get to meet Harry here on Wednesday.
Yes, I'm looking forward to meeting him. He's obviously a really good ambassador for the Invictus organisation, and I'm looking forward to having a chat to him and getting to know him and talk about our Invictus journeys.
I know some of the girls are pretty excited too, so yeah, but I can't wait. Hopefully get a selfie with them or something.
Harry chose Sydney for next year's Games because of our love of sport and because he says Sydney is known the world over. Some of the events will be played out right here on the harbour foreshore.
True Guy Sports is up next. Stay tuned for details.
True Guy Sports.
Welcome to True Guy Sports. The Snacks Mermaids have received a timely boost in their campaign for netball supremacy after receiving new training equipment. Head coach and former PNG Peppers Richanda Castman said the club is looking at setting the benchmark for netball in PNG.
Currently at the top of Tier 1 in the Port Moresby netball competition, it isn't hard to see where the Mermaids are setting the pace in PNG. A fast, aggressive attack with a strong, coordinated defensive structure has made this side difficult to defeat.
We want to set new standards. We want to reach, new goals in PNG netball, and we want the world to know that, we're catching up, we're coming, and we're going to produce those players. And we want to start at club level. It's not only the responsibility of our national body, but if we want those results at the national level, we need to start putting the work in at club.
During their training session, the club were the recipients of new equipment, which their head coach Richanda Castman says will be an added incentive to her squad. New changes have been a long time coming in netball, and Castman is adamant that the Mermaids are here to create a new benchmark in the sport in the country.
What we've been working on for a couple of years now is the consistency throughout the year and throughout the game. But yeah, it's keeping that intensity.
Leading the charge, Castman believes that the new breed of netball players need to raise their technical abilities in order to raise the quality of netball being played.
I would encourage all the clubs and associations and to try and look into what can help them. We've got to start basics first, but this type of stuff for your top teams will really help. Yeah.
A number of the current Mermaids outfit have all had a chance at a representative duty in one form or another. 6 current Peppers are on the roster, as well as junior under-21 players, including Eloise Vele. Over the weekend, the Mermaids were in devastating form against Telstars, nearly doubling the lead over their opponents with a 31-point margin, and this is only the beginning for the women in purple.
It wasn't a problem. Well, everyone they were just keeping to the game. We were not thinking that our players injured and stuff. We just kept to the game plan and we just did what we can do, and what we have, we just work out with it. Yeah.
The Port Moresby Netball Association is embarking on a higher level, better quality competition, and the Mermaids are leading from the front. Jeremy Moggy, National TV Sports.
The Rugby League World Cup will promote Papua New Guinea's status as a league nation. Andrew Hill, CEO for the Rugby League World Cup, made these comments in an exclusive interview with EMTV today.
Having successfully hosted other major sporting events, eyes will once again return to Port Moresby in October as the Rugby League World Cup hits the shores of the nation.
It is going to be fabulous. It will be an event, I think, that will stop the nation. It will be an event that showcases Port Moresby and Papua New Guinea to an audience of over 100 countries and over 20 million people watching.
Andrew Hill, the Chief Executive Officer of the Rugby League World Cup, says this will be massive.
So for PNG Commonwealth to play all their home games, all their pool games here, I think is an enormous opportunity for rugby league, but it's also a fantastic opportunity for this country and for the people to showcase their pride they have in Papua New Guinea to a global audience.
Alongside Hill, Rowan Sawyer, who in his capacity is General Manager for Commercials and Marketing, says that this will be an opportunity to showcase Papua New Guinea's ability at hosting.
One of the things with the World Cup is obviously you want to show a World Cup to the world, and obviously having EMTV as a partner up here in New Guinea and having it on free to wear allows it to take this game and the 3 games up here to everyone in New Guinea. So that's exciting for us.
Over the coming months and leading to that crescendo, the World Cup's hype will be built.
Not only do we want to see everyone here enjoy their time at the Rugby League World Cup, but we want to display Papua New Guinea to the rest of the world. They're probably the most passionate rugby league supporters I've seen. I was here for the Prime Minister's 13 last year and I haven't seen anything like it. So from a marketing perspective, there's no better way to showcase.
With the weight of a nation, the PNG Commonwealth will be playing 3 of their home games at the National Football Stadium. And Hill says the expectations will be high.
In a real sense, the weight of the expectation here for the PNG population is that Michael and the Commonwealths go through to the quarter-final in Melbourne, most likely if they were to win through their pool matches. So I think that is a realistic expectation that the people should have of their national team. And of course, once you get into the finals, who knows what will happen.
Alongside the men, however, the World Cup will also be an opportunity for the women of the code to take part. And both men are happy that the status of the sport will be boosted by the free-to-air coverage from EMTV. The Rugby League World Cup will commence on the 27th of October to the 2nd of December. Jeremy Moggy, National TV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Basketball PNG CEO Joel Kalu says preparations for the Melanesian Cup are on point, with first priority going towards the selection of the men's and women's teams. Kalu says the selection of the top players will come after the national championship, so that top players can make the train-on squad.
As 4 countries are confirmed for this year's Melanesian Cup, including PNG, Basketball PNG CEO Joel Kalu says priority now is for the players, as the national tournament has been scheduled to take place on the 4th of July. Kalu says the national event will be used to scout top players to make it into the train-on squad. The tournament is expected to see a few affiliates around the country come with their best players, hoping to earn a spot in the national side.
Yes, so right now our major focus is on our national championships. So that event will be happening from Monday, July 3rd to Saturday, July 8th here in Port Moresby. That's actually the major selection tournament for our national team. So, obviously invitations have gone out to all of our affiliated associations throughout the country. Prepare your best team, send them here to Moresby for that championships, and that will give us the opportunity to then select our national men's and women's squads.
He said while the facility is ready for both the men's and women's teams to train prior to the Melanesian Cup, opportunities will also be given to overseas-based players, making sure that PNG puts their best teams forward.
Our goal is obviously to put the best team possible on the floor, and that will include our overseas-based players. So, we've got Papua New Guinean players right now based in Australia. We've got a couple in the college, the US college system. So hopefully we'll be able to get them to commit to it. They have to go through the same selection process as all our other players. Look, we're hopeful that we want to put our best, strongest possible team, because our goal is to win this thing. We're not here just to make up the numbers, especially hosting the tournament. It's our absolute priority that we go out there and have success, and, we will be disappointed if both our men's and women's teams don't win gold medals.
Kalu said after selections, training will play a crucial role, that the best training systems are put in place for the players as they prepare to contest against some of their Melanesian counterparts. 3 of the toughest teams to reach PNG shores for the event will be New Caledonia, Solomon Islands and Fiji. While PNG waits for a big challenge ahead, Kalu says PNG is not walking away empty-handed from this event, as the country will do anything and everything to get the best players, both local and from overseas, to battle for the top spot. Godwin Eki, National, EMTV Sports.
To the NBA Finals, California's Golden State Warriors overcame 20 turnovers and a triple-double by Cleveland's LeBron James to beat the Cavaliers 132-113 on Sunday and push their final series lead to 2-0. Warriors forward Kevin Durant was once again the best player on the court.
Led the resistance for the Cavs with 29 points, but not even a triple-double from King James could stop the Warriors' charge.
Curry off the dribble, layup off the glass, razzle-dazzle at its best.
Steph Curry and Kevin Durant combined for 65 points as a scuffle broke out between fans and players. The series heads to Cleveland for the next 2 games. Well, Australia has made it 2 wins from as many games at the World Rugby Under-20s Championship with a bruising win over Samoa. Australia scored the opening try but trailed 10-8 at half-time before returning to cross for 3 more after the break in a 33-26 bonus point victory.
Take a lot out of that, a lot of positives and negatives, but you know, we played scrappy there and we deserved, and Samoa put in a good effort. Credit to them.
Australia takes on England next in a clash that could decide top spot in Group A.
And that ends Chukai Sports. The weather details up next.
Sports. True Kai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow: in the southern region, mostly sunny and windy, becoming partly cloudy in Port Moresby and Daru. Morning light showers, then cloudy in Kerema. Mostly fine, although partly cloudy and windy in Alatau, and morning showers, then cloudy in Popondetta. In the Mamase region, morning light rain, then cloudy in Lae. Morning showers, then cloudy in Medang, Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, morning showers with possible thunderstorms, then cloudy in Lorengau. Mostly fine, although partly cloudy in Kavieng, Rabaul and Kokopo. Partly cloudy with a shower or 2 and windy in Kimbe, and mostly sunny, becoming partly cloudy in Buka. And in the Highlands region, morning fog clearing, then a shower or 2 later in all centres.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And that's the news, sports and weather for Monday, the 5th of June 2017. From all of us here at EMTV, pleasant viewing. Good night.